The sponsor of this episode is Chadwell Supply, an OG in the multifamily industry. Chadwell is the largest privately owned maintenance and repair supplier, and they deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. To find out how Chadwell Supply will make your day better, visit www.chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Hello, welcome to another episode of 8 Stories. This is the brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network. This is the podcast where every week we sit down and talk about 8 topics or trends or interesting stories from around the space. And we're glad that you're here to join us today. My name's Sharon Cawthon, and I'm here with my co-host, Jennifer Carter. And today, this week's conversation was prompted by, I was really sad to read that Walt Emmer, who was the chairman of Waffle House, had passed away earlier this week. And he had been there for 30 plus years. It so happens that Joe Rogers Sr., who's the founder of Waffle House, is still with us. And here in the headquarters is in Norcross, Georgia, which happens to be in the city that I live in. I don't think it's open anymore, but for years there was sort of towards Avondale Estates, that part of the world, there was the original Waffle House. So there was a little museum there, but I don't know that you can go into it anymore. I haven't been by there in a decade,
cool.
so I don't know for sure, but that's there, the original starting place for Waffle House. And so that prompted me to think about what are the business lessons or the just leadership lessons that you can learn from Waffle House.
So, I love it. I love it.
I don't know what I'll tell you that every time I go to Waffle House, and I do go, and I get the same thing. So I do the thing of looking at the menu as though I'm going to get something else. And 90% of the time I get 2 eggs over medium with toast and a side of extra crispy bacon, and usually some hash browns that go with it. So that is my standard.
The Waffle House. You're supposed to get waffles.
You know, their waffles smell delicious, but they're just not my thing. And I was looking up a lot of stats about Waffle House, and some of these I already knew and some were new to me. But one was that Waffle House sells more steaks than anything in any other place in the United States, I think combined. Like, they're way far ahead, the leader in steaks.
Interesting.
I know it's not what I think of first thing when I'm going to go to Waffle House.
I think of waffles, but it's okay.
One of the things I really appreciate is you can see, like, they have these basket of eggs that's over the chef station, and they have a time by which that would have to be discarded if it was not used up. And I have never seen them not finish the basket and have another one right out there. Like, they are just cooking all the time. Anyway, let's get into this fun episode of what are the leadership lessons that we can learn from Waffle House.
Man, let's take a look. All right, so we got 8 stories. That's the title of our podcast. And we'll start the first one, open all night. So I think we all know that Waffle House is open all night. And it's interesting. The stories of drunken customer shenanigans are legendary, which I think we all kind of go there at some point when we think of Waffle House, right? The middle of the night customers, they're more than partiers. Personally, for me, I think truck drivers and travelers, right? Like, when I think Waffle House, and really, those are the folks that are there. But it was a small business move to make the restaurants open 24 hours. So it wasn't open 24 hours in the beginning, really to meet their customers at their schedule. Oh, I just totally went into our world of multifamily and touring. Waffle House reaches profitability in its overnight shift, which is interesting, right?
That's fascinating. So, it's not an expensive place to eat. They keep their prices reasonable. But so all day long they're turning, customers, but in the nighttime hours and that's all like the gravy. That is when they're making their profitability. So if they weren't an open all night business, they would really have to change their business model in terms of how they got to profitability. But, the thing about Waffle House is they're so well known for being open 24 hours that nobody ever says, I wonder if Waffle House is open. Like, if it's the middle of the night and you've been out too late and you need to put some food in your stomach, that Waffle House is there for you.
I have to say, though, like, as I made the quick comment, it made me really think about our industry, right? Like, and the fact that they had to make a move to be open 24 hours, right? Where to meet their customers. So it's to me, the first thing that came to mind was, touring and self-guided tours or being open after 9 to 5, right? Where, you can meet those people who want to lease, and hopefully making your community profitable. So I definitely kind of see an interesting kind of parallel there, understanding how they had to shift to.
Agreed. Yeah, and there is a big parallel there, and whether that is with the technology piece of it, or if it is saying, I think we make a lot of assumptions that that everybody wants to work in that same window, and that's just not necessarily true. Not everyone's life has the same needs, and somehow other shift work kind of businesses, or even those who have just extended hours, they find a way to have employees and to be available, and whether that's on the phone or whatever that looks like. But I would encourage us to be aware that more and more and more there's an expectation that you're going to get an answer, and you're going to get an answer quickly to your
Yeah.
inquiry about a business. Like I get a little annoyed if I can't get it by 2 days.
Oh
So
gosh.
when
Yeah.
I order from someplace other than the Amazon, and it's going to
Right.
take a week or two to get to me, it seems like forever. So
Understood.
yeah, there was a real takeaway from me in that. So I wanted to move on to number 2, and that is, this goes to Joe Rogers Sr., who was the founder of the company. He started out working for Toddle House, and he enjoyed it very much, and he grew up in their business, and he was a vice president of Toddle House. But the reason that he could not stay with Toddle House, the reason he wanted to make a change, is that it bothered him that they would not allow the employees to have any participation in the business.
Hmm.
And so he started Waffle House, a privately owned company. And he decided to make it's a good place to work. So employees who have worked for the company for a year are eligible to own stock. And in fact, it is the only way you can own stock in Waffle House. They are privately owned. No one who does not work there has any access to owning a piece of Waffle House. And I just think that's very cool and probably unexpected
Yeah.
for a restaurant chain.
I do agree with that. And I like his, thought process or vision to start a company. Really, just it's a good place to work and giving an employee that opportunity, right, and putting your employees, first in that opportunity. So that's really cool. Love that.
What you think about, if employees are feeling that they really have skin in the game, then how much better are they going to ensure the customer experience is?
Oh, 100%.
Right. So not only was it a win for the employees, it was a win for the business,
Yeah, win-win, a win-win, as I say.
a big one. And when you get those, and there are countless opportunities in the multifamily space to do this. Not every management company is part of a big REIT. There are plenty of mid-sized companies that do very well financially that could offer this, that are privately held, that could offer this as a real opportunity for their
Mhm.
employees. And when you think about it, also matters in terms of, retention of your employees,
Yeah, for sure.
because a lot of the companies who do this kind of thing also, you have to be vested to carry those stocks away whenever you leave. So you got to stay a certain amount of time for that. So I just thought that was a revolutionary idea at the time that he was creating Waffle House, and for that to be his incentive for leaving. And just a little interesting piece of trivia is that he continued working for Toddle House while he was getting his Waffle Houses up and going. So they knew he was doing it. It wasn't like he was secretively doing this sort of thing, but he kept working there because he needed to get this sort of business up and running. And I just thought that was a really interesting part of his journey.
So before we move to 3, I do have to ask because I actually don't really know this, and I'm assuming that you do. What year was the first Waffle House?
Oh my goodness. I wish I did know that. I think it was in the 60s or 70s.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
Joe
was just
Sr.
curious.
is still with us.
Okay.
Joe Rogers Sr. is still with us. And so, that would be my guess. But
Okay.
let's try to find that out before the end of the show.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Throw it in there.
I'll jump to 3.
Okay.
One that I'm really intrigued by, and because my child eats a lot of eggs, so we're gonna talk about eggs, cost efficiencies. So it's interesting. The Waffle House buys 2% of all the eggs in the US. I don't even know what that math looks like. They get really great prices and they keep their menu prices lower, than their competitors. But the founder, Joe Rogers Sr., it was the highest profit item you could do. So he said, call it Waffle House and encourage people to eat waffles. So I thought that was really interesting, right? I mean, the name obviously makes it clear, Waffle House waffles, right? Because that's even for me, marketing. I'm like, what do they have? Waffles. But yeah, he also says you can't carry out waffles. They get pretty flimsy, which is true.
Listen, they do a pretty brisk take. People come in all the time and pick up orders to go. But
Yeah.
as for me, I don't eat the waffles, but I think Waffle House is best consumed hot, right on your plate, straight from the grill. I don't want the lapse in time and the steam building up in the packaging until you can get it home.
Listen, when I cook breakfast for my kids, it's never a meal like that, or when we do breakfast for dinner. I never say wait for everybody to eat because your waffles are soggy, right?
Right.
They're not as good, right? So, I have to agree
But,
with him. They're not made for carry out.
It was fascinating, though, that he understood that that would be the highest profitability item. Waffles are cheap to make,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of profit margin in that. And the name said it right away what you could expect when you came to this restaurant. So I think that was a pretty smart piece of business acumen. So
For sure.
the other, I don't know if is this on number 4?
Yeah, we're on 4. Yep, you got it. Yep.
Okay. Why don't you jump off on to number 4?
Yeah, operational speed. This is interesting too to me. Turning tables is key to the restaurant business. Now, don't say that about multifamily because turning bedrooms is not the key. But
Right.
Waffle House standards call for your food to be placed on your table in less than 8 minutes. This is fascinating because I know that there's a lot of detail probably behind these numbers and calculating all of this. I'm a numbers person. So and then the average length of the stay for a customer, 20 minutes. So 20 minutes and you have 8 minutes to get your food to your table. Which tells me that they're turning quickly, right? And more checks, more revenue. But it's interesting how he kind of took that, I don't know, math problem, right? And figured
Right.
out what those exact numbers are.
It is fascinating. I'm sure there was a whole lot of work that went into determining those numbers. But from a customer standpoint, the idea that you could get in, sit down, order your food, and it's on your table, hot and ready to go within under 8 minutes, that's a win.
It's a huge win. Maybe I'll go there with my kids because I know they can eat and they can get their food fast.
I cannot verify whether this part is a true part of the lore or not. But one of the things about Waffle House is it is cold. So cold in those restaurants that condensation comes down the windows.
Why?
And we used to say they're freezing you out. They want you to get in, eat your food, and go because you're freezing to death in the restaurant. So I don't know what the air conditioning bills are, but it must be worth it because you freeze in a Waffle House. Take
They
a
want
light
maybe
wrap with you.
maybe more coffee, more hot waffles.
For sure.
For
But
sure.
anyway, that is just part of their business. Operational speed is just really important to them, and they have a small footprint. So they don't have 100 tables to fill. You think about the size of a Waffle House, they don't have a ton. They've got probably 7 or 8 booths. Some of those may even be 2 people booths, and then they've got probably 5 or 6 stools at the top bar. Some have a lower bar with chairs, but that's about it. And if you go there on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, you can expect to wait. So people are.
Chadwell Supply is the proud sponsor of the Multifamily Media Network. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned MRO supply company and is committed to the multifamily industry. They deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. Chadwell Supply offers valuable resources such as maintenance training, a dedicated renovations team, and procurement platform assistance, ensuring multifamily properties operate more efficiently. Partnering with Chadwell Supply helps communities stand out in an increasingly competitive market. Learn more at chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Wait, yes.
I was going to say, that you don't have to wait long because, right, of their operational speed. So people are willing to wait because they're not waiting, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to sit
Nobody's
down.
going to tell you you've got an hour wait at the Waffle House.
Exactly.
But if you go to some other of the big breakfast chains, some of those on a weekend, you really do have to wander
Yeah.
around and wait for a while. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
well, one of the next story or the next point that we talk about is their operating budget. So they have a very limited advertising budget. You do
Oh,
not see a ton of Waffle House advertising. So they
true.
really manage their expenses very well. They their signs are highly recognizable. That's a big part of their advertising. And the food is pretty much unchanged. Every now and then they may have something that's a limited time, but for the most part, you know, you can get Bert's chili, you can get your waffle, your steak, your eggs, however you want them. And so they present the chain as sort of being American. It's America's place to eat, it's America's place to work, and it's America's place for inclusion.
You know, I think about this and think about the fact that in our industry, we could be doing the same thing, right? Like limiting our advertising budget. If you do good, consistent customer service, right? To Waffle's House point, it's the food, they're of operational speed, right? And they're sticking to that. Their experience is what driving people, right? So it's like us in multifamily, like if you're giving good customer service, if you are, providing a great place, it's clean, you're probably going to get a lot of referrals, right? You're going to
Right.
get a lot of people that, might just come from that perspective as instead of pushing into a lot of advertising. Not saying we shouldn't advertise at all, but just kind of rethinking along the lines of how Waffle House, continues to do business. Because you're right, very clean, clear, large, just their logo or their name, Waffle House, right? You're driving down the highway and you see it and you know. So yeah, from a marketing perspective, really, really smart move, I think, on their behalf.
You know, there's some parts in the country, I'm sure, where Waffle House is not a thing, but it is regionally certainly a thing. And you can often see the big yellow and black letters from the highway. That's not an accident. They want you to be able to, but there's also plenty of Waffle Houses on the on the byways, on the back roads. You can find a Waffle House if you want one. You can find one without going too far. So, and they will go out of their way to make your experience special, right? If you've got a kid with you, they're going to give them one of the Waffle House chef's hats that they can
Oh,
take
that's
home
right.
with them.
Yeah.
They take their photo if you as a parent consent, and so it'll wind up on the wall with some goofy, like their head in a donut or whatever. I mean, it's just really, they do try to do things that really make it a special experience. And I found that to be, it's not necessarily a place you're going to go for your fancy anniversary dinner, but it
Yeah.
is a place where you get predictable experience every time. And
Yeah.
if I go there and for some reason the server's not friendly or the food takes a long time, it's an outlier. So much
Yes.
so that I recognize what is going on here today. This never happens here. But it doesn't turn me off from the restaurant, because I know this doesn't happen here. So whatever this is a one-off.
Which is interesting because to actually kind of leads into the next story, right? It's about the people. And they're in the people business, right? And sometimes I think we lose that in our own industry, right? We are in the people business, not, for Waffle House, they're not in the restaurant business.
Right.
And that's really huge to keep that in the forefront of their mind. So the food is the product of their business, but the people are everything and they're investing in their employees. And so again, to your point, like they're giving good customer service. And Waffle House really is, intentional about their culture. And, Bill Nye talks about culture on his podcast, right? And
Yeah.
and leading your culture, and I think it still continues to be a hot topic for many industries, but culture really leads the way, and bleeds into people, which has a domino effect of creating a great business, no matter what you're doing.
Right. Because it's not super proprietary to cook eggs or steaks or waffles. You can get that same thing duplicated, though I would argue they're hash browns. It's hard to beat their hash browns. But that's not super proprietary. So what has to be different is the way that we make people feel when they're here, and the
Yep.
way that we make our employees feel to work for Waffle House. It wasn't until 2006 that Waffle House started accepting any payment other than cash.
Wow.
Yes. So that used to be a thing. If we were going to go there, I'd have to remember to go to the ATM and have cash in my wallet because they did not take any credit cards.
That's crazy.
I know it used, and I don't know if this is available anymore. I think I asked somebody at Waffle House sometime in the last year, but they understood that not all of their employees had bank accounts. And so it was possible to get your pay in cash. If that's what you
Interesting.
needed, you could get your pay as a cash out instead of as, I mean, you still had the same, taxes withdrawn. You still had all the paperwork trail, but you weren't forced to try and find a way to cash that. And if you don't have a bank account and you've got to go to some place to get it cash, you usually have to lose a part of your income into paying a fee for that. So I thought that was one more way to sort of take good
Yeah.
care of their people.
Love that. That's great.
Well, along those
Well,
lines, yeah,
go
go ahead. They offer a fair bonus plan. And I don't think we always think about that either. In our business, we talk about bonus plans a lot, and there's a lot of strong feelings around them, right?
Yeah.
But he felt strongly that if in the restaurant industry, a bonus system had to be self-monitoring and only deal with facts.
Love that.
So they removed the manager likes you a lot, or, a friendly supervisor wants to give you a little extra. So he made the bonus system just crystal clear about the facts. That way every employee knows what they're shooting for.
That's right.
They
That's
know
right.
what
There's
to
no
expect.
wavering. There's no uncertainty or, anything of that nature. Clear boundaries or clear, lines in the sand, I think makes it fair and easy for everybody to understand.
There's a lot to be said for that
Yeah.
fairness. All right. So moving on to our next one. No one person can know everything. So having partners who balance your skills and interests is a very good thing. And Waffle House also proves this. They said no one is best at everything, and we all have
Mhm.
weaknesses and strengths. And diversity is the broadest possible sense that makes it, in the broadest possible sense, is what makes a team stronger.
Ooh, that's a great last line right there.
Right.
Like that
We talk
is,
a lot about DEI today, right? But this
yep.
is at its core saying that having people with different strengths, different weaknesses, and different skill sets is the heart of what makes a strong team and a strong business.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Waffle House being able to operate without those different strengths, right? Maybe, tactically somebody can, do the eggs quicker. Somebody can really do the waffles quicker. Somebody can, deliver the food, right? You've got to have everybody that has their weaknesses and strengths. Otherwise, oh my gosh, I don't know what it would look like. It wouldn't look good.
So fundamentally, diversity is good business
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
all businesses. There is a benefit to the business. So let's let go of whether it's a buzzword or a politically motivated, and just say simply that having a diverse group of people is the foundation for a good business.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And good for the customers. What's good for the customers is good for the business.
I love that. That is great. That
So
is
we'll tell you
absolutely.
just a couple other quick facts. First of all, the first Waffle House opened in 1955. So
We're
I was
close.
a little bit earlier than I thought. And that did happen right here in Georgia. And they intentionally, like I said, keep their restaurants this sort of shoebox shape with
Yeah.
limited amount of seating and just a rapid turnover of tables. And what was it? There was another really interesting tidbit. I encourage you to just do a deep dive
Right.
on fun things about Waffle House, and you'll leave there with some fresh ideas and an opportunity. The other smart thing from a business perspective, and this really precisely plays into multifamily real estate. They made smart real estate decisions. The
Mm.
actual real estate. They own almost every one of the parcels of land that their restaurant is on. Yeah. So from a expense standpoint, once you own the land, you have a lot more control about what happens.
Yeah.
When searching for land, though, they
Uh-oh.
would go in the middle of the night, because they're a 24-hour business, and park their car where the
Right.
restaurant would be and watch how many cars went past. If there's not enough traffic going past your restaurant in the middle of the night, it's not a good location for your restaurant.
That. Like, that is getting in and seeing it. And that is some really great, like, just like getting in there before making a decision, right? Like to see what that will look like. That's cool. I love that.
I love
Especially
that sort
overnight.
of
That's good.
research.
I love
And the
that.
last one I'll leave you with is that sorry, I had something in my eye. They have very few franchisees. Most of their restaurants are owned.
Oh, interesting.
And the few that are franchised, they make the parameters so strict that no franchisees can ever deviate from the Waffle House brand and culture.
Oh, that makes sense.
It really does. And we do a lot of third-party management in this industry. The industry would not work without it because owning real estate is not the same as operating it.
Sure.
But there's a lot to be said for minding your culture and really holding that as sacrosanct. How we operate is how we operate.
Yeah. Very good points. Maybe I'll go to a Waffle House this weekend.
Maybe Joe Rogers Sr. will see this. I hope that he does. That would be fabulous. I am a diehard fan of Waffle House. I ate there this past Sunday. My sister came to visit and we went to Waffle House for lunch. And so my husband and I have eaten there many times. So I am a big fan. Do you know they said that in some cases it made more sense to have two Waffle Houses almost across the street from each other because the traffic patterns on a very busy street where you can't easily cross over.
Right, or turn around and you're
Right.
missing. Yes, I can see that. I can totally
Listen,
see that.
in Atlanta, people will die before they'll turn around because it is such a pain. So if
Very
the
true.
restaurant's on the wrong side of the road, that rules it out.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
That's
For
why we
sure.
had to go eat at Waffle House because my sister drove all the way here thinking there'd be a restaurant on the right side of the road and she didn't find one. So she walks in and said, "I'm starving."
Okay. Then Waffle House it is.
Let's go. We'll get seated quickly. We'll
That's
be
right.
fed quickly and we'll be out of there.
I love it. We'll love it.
I hope that you guys enjoyed this Waffle House episode as much as we did, and also that you found some takeaways.
Yes. And make sure you share if you have a favorite Waffle House menu item. Share it with us.
Yes.
Love to
What
know.
is your favorite menu item? So, yeah, my husband, they have these bowls where it can be like either grits or hash browns in the bottom, and then you can have your protein and whatever on top. And so that's his. 2 eggs over medium with toast and crispy bacon. That's me.
Yours.
So I'd love to hear what yours are. And don't tell me you don't have a favorite Waffle House meal. Except for Jennifer, everyone does. And we're going to make Jennifer a convert before it's over.
That's right. That's right. I'll be back soon with mine.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of 8 Stories. We'll be back again next week with another episode for you to enjoy. Please like, share, subscribe, and we will see you again soon.